Hey, good morning, Canada. Welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show here on a Football Friday. Yes, I'm Darren Dupont in for Rod Pedersen this morning. He is in Vegas hanging out with all the stars. Just go to his Instagram if you want to know where he's at. And actually, while we got you here, let's do that this morning. It always pops up on Instagram. He's staying at the Palms if you want to stalk him. Room 415. No, I don't know what room he's staying.
You watch your job, do you?
Yeah. I'm kidding. I don't know what room he's staying in. But
wouldn't it be funny if it was 415?
That would be. I feel so sorry to whoever's in room 415. I really do. Going to get harassed. At least it's not early. At least they're not going to get woken up.
Say, what's going on? My name's Rod Pedersen.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it is Vegas, so some people are probably just getting to bed now. But that's great. Great hour one of the program. Arash Madani with an update on just about everything. Good CFL update, actually. Yeah. Talked about the Astros situation. We talked a little tennis. It was fun with Arash Madani from Sportsnet. We had a great chat with John Murphy just on the previous side of the break we just had. That was great, the assistant general manager of the Toronto Argonauts. And coming up a little bit later on in this hour, we're going to talk to Dave Campbell from 630 Ched in Edmonton. We'll get into the Eskimo situation. We're seeing a trend of teams with three, call them veteran quarterbacks. The Eskimos are the latest, signing Pipkin to go with Kilgore and Trevor Harris. A bit of a veteran group. The Riders doing a similar thing. Now, Isaac Harker, a young quarterback, but you've got three guys with playing experience. Is that something new? Or I always think of teams in a third quarterback, with a rookie we've never heard of, the young, promising guy that hasn't been on the field. But we're seeing teams, with that second insurance policy.
I thought this wasn't going to happen. I thought they were going to stay at 2.
Yeah.
At 3. They're going to go to 3. They stay at 3, I should say.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
And they want to go to 2. But
I think you can go to 2 and have another player. Isn't that correct?
You can have as many as you want.
Yeah.
There's nobody saying, and the commissioner came on this program and said, doesn't mean you can't have 3 quarterbacks on the roster. You can have 3 quarterbacks, but they limited the number of overall roster spots by 1. Okay. I think that was it.
Everybody and their dog wants to be the starter, so it's very difficult to get a really good guy, to be number 2. And the money situation too. Usually if flood the number 1 guy with all the money, and then the other guy he does. So it's a difficult thing to get 2 really, really good ones.
It shows here. The last couple of years. It's unreal last year how many quarterbacks got hurt. Almost everybody's quarterback. So you put the second stringer in, he gets hurt, and you say, then there's nobody? No, I can't be that. But they got, like you say, the money's going to be interesting what they're going to pay that third guy. But here, what do? Hey, you got an ace in the hole in Marshall. He played quarterback at Auburn.
They won't
beat Alabama. Well,
they won't put him as a quarterback.
Well, what do you do? What do you do for a third quarterback?
You can't take away a good corner like that.
What would you do for a third quarterback?
But we're talking, we've got 3 quarterbacks.
Okay, he'd be there. Okay.
Franklin and Harker.
You can have 3 quarterbacks on the roster.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, but you take one Canadian off there.
You don't have to have a Canadian on the roster. Clark, can you get the clarification on that rule and put it on my prompter? Is that possible? I'm pretty sure it's 1 less roster spot overall.
Okay.
When they said they're removing a quarterback, now that, is you are required. Yeah, he's going to put it up here and we'll get it.
Okay.
You're required to have 2 quarterbacks.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the rule. It didn't say you can have 3.
Yeah.
It just said you're required to have 2. Previously, you were required to have 3.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to have 3. If you want to dress an extra lineman, you want to have an extra defensive back, you want to have somebody else, you can do that. You only have to have 2.
See, if you go with 2, that's where Nick Marshall could come in, and he could be the third guy just in case if 2 get hurt.
And this is going to happen. I think a lot of teams are going to test us for a while with only 2 quarterbacks, and if they're lucky enough and don't get hurt, well, okay.
Yeah, teams have the flexibility to only utilize 2 and can dress another position if you want to. So, I like that. And you're going to maybe see the Riders. I would assume the depth chart will look something like Cody Fajardo, James Franklin, Isaac Harker, third.
Right.
But you might see them keep Brian Bennett He might play special teams.
And he does.
He might he might be listed as a linebacker or a fourth quarterback.
Sure. He played special teams in Winnipeg.
He could play special teams. You might end up seeing, different things like that happen. But you're right. That's part of it. If a team only wants to carry two and they've got a guy who played quarterback who they're confident in an emergency situation, just like the pitcher who's actually a shortstop and has to come in an emergency situation.
They did that years ago. Remember Bruce Bennett?
Yeah.
He was a backup quarterback.
Yeah, and he came backup quarterback in Florida.
Yeah.
He was first-string quarterback in Florida.
Yeah.
So what do you do if you're Logan Kilgore in Edmonton? Coming in, you're the backup quarterback, and now you've signed Antonio Pipkin, who was a starting quarterback at Montreal at one point during the season.
Well, you battle in training camp.
Battle
in training camp, and you try to get that number 2.
And if you're Brock Sunderland,
he played some too. Pipkin had some success, but there was problems too as well. He was inconsistent. So, and it's not easy. It's not easy to play quarterback in the Canadian Football League when you're coming down from the States and your eyes see 11 guys out there. Now you come up and there's that different guy. So, it just takes time. It takes time to develop. Some guys can do it so quick and be so good, and others it just takes, it's a different situation.
Well, if you got 2 quarterbacks, first and second, that are healthy going in a game, you don't need a third.
Yeah, and that's true. And that was part of the reason is they've crunched all the numbers, right? And all the numbers are available. And the times that you've had to use a third quarterback, it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Now, we always need a second quarterback.
Yes.
That's no question about that. Wayne Grollo is watching this morning. He says, I think that's a good development if teams have more good options at quarterback. Mike Lennox on the Facebook wall, CFL teams need to think about the expansion draft. They may be coming in early in 2021. That's something to think about in the radar.
Oh, yeah.
You got to make sure you got guys ready to go.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get...
That may be coming. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Never know.
We've got comments coming in, too, on the Prairie Mobile text line, 306-840-8777. This one coming... somebody, anonymous texter. Sorry, Metal Shingle Guy. That's who it is. Metal Shingle Guy texting in. Does Toronto owe first-round pick for Zach? Good question.
Yeah.
Not to Saskatchewan.
No, Winnipeg, I think, has to send over. They don't have a first-round pick now because Kyle said that in the press conference the other day, that they've lost their first-round pick, so they're picking 18th for their first pick.
Toronto does not owe a first-round pick.
Well, they do.
Toronto. They didn't sign Zach. Winnipeg.
They didn't, but I think to get Zach over to Winnipeg, they gave Toronto a first-round pick, I believe.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure.
Does this not clarify?
Hold on, Winnipeg
in the text line. Now, I think this question has come up a few times because in the deal that sent Zach Collaros to Toronto,
Saskatchewan doesn't have to.
No, I think part of the conditions was if he signs, then they'll give Saskatchewan a first round pick. Right? If you'll trade him to us, and we'll give you something. But if he signs, we'll give you something else. We'll give you a first round pick.
That was for this year, though, right?
Right. Now that he's signed in Winnipeg, that Toronto's not on the hook of giving Saskatchewan anything.
No.
At all.
No.
You're done. That's another trade.
Winnipeg's on the hook to give them a first round pick.
That would be the deal.
Conditional pick. If they sign, then you forfeit your first round.
Yeah, that's my question. Riders. Yeah, no, the Riders in that second trade, it's not a condition that other teams have to abide by.
So Toronto will get the 9th pick in that first round.
Yeah,
this year.
Chris is watching and chimes in on the Prairie Mobile text line. Hope Murph has a great season in Toronto. We need the Argos to be a strong team for the well-being of the CFL. Pinball Clemens, will provide great leadership there. Well, we know that. Yeah. Pinball's as good as they come. It's awesome having them back in the CFL.
Big challenge, though. That's a real big challenge, that city, man.
Yeah.
Well, you can get it back real quick.
But you watch Sportsnet in the afternoon, 4 hours of what's going on in Toronto area. Never mentioned the CFL once.
Jason Fichter on the comments here on the Facebook wall just confirms what you guys had said. Winnipeg has to give the Argos a first-round pick. Yes. Yeah. So there you go. That's the update there. I want to pull up the Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center poll question. We haven't checked in on the poll results this morning, but I want to do that now. Last night, the Edmonton Oilers falling 3-1 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Braden Point with an assist in that one. He still is doing amazing things. The former Moose Jaw Warrior. Where is he? There he is, Braden Point on the bobblehead.
He's incredible.
Isn't he great? Anyways, the Oilers lost, but in the middle of it, Zach Kassian got his got stuck in a pileup and kicked one of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Eric Chernick. And we asked this morning in the Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center poll question, how many games will the NHL suspend Zach Kassian for his kick? The answers are 0, 1 to 3, 4 to 6, or 7+. He has an in-person hearing today with the NHL, which opens him up to 6 or more games. So because of the in-person hearing, I'm going to say 4 to 6. I kind of thought it'd be more in that 3 to 5 range. So I'm going to say 4 to 6, and that's where our viewers are. As I pull up the poll results, 45% of you say Zach Kassian will be suspended 4 to 6 games. 28% of you say 7 or more. 19% of you say 1 to 3, and only 8% of you say 0. The only reason I thought he might get less is just because of the recent discipline for Zdeno Chara earlier this week. His cross-check to the throat of Brendan Gallagher came.
That was terrible, by the way.
It was terrible.
That's a big bully beating a smaller kid. That stunk. You know, somebody should have went over there and whacked Chara.
It came with... Really?
I think so. I'm getting carried away.
No.
But that looked awful to me.
I know. But who's going to do it?
Exactly.
Are you going to do it?
No.
I'm not going to do it.
That's right.
Because I'll get a stick to the throat.
Who's going to do it?
Brendan Gallagher is having trouble eating his booster juice this morning.
You said that
Meanwhile, Eric Chernick, he can't. I mean, he's fine after the kick.
Yeah.
So the results don't compare, but the act does. We see cross-checks all the time.
Yeah. Somebody tagged Charo the other day, or a couple of weeks ago, where he got a little wobbly.
Yeah?
Who was that?
I can't remember who delivered it.
Yeah.
But he's huge, like 6'6", eh? Or more than that?
He's taller than that, isn't he?
Maybe 6'8"?
6'8" or something.
I could believe he's 7 foot, actually, if a guy threw it at me.
Jason Bisick is watching this morning and says, just to update, Kassian has waived the in-person hearing, and so we'll now have a hearing over the phone. He can waive it, so just give it to me. Just give it to me.
Yeah.
Whatever it's going to be, just give me the punishment. I know, I'll take it.
Oh, above him up says that Kassian's asked for 20 games.
Tom Halleck says, sit Kassian's rear end for 20 games at least. So there you go. That's really it's going to be interesting watching this one play out.
It is very interesting.
But I can see it go either way. But because they called the in-person hearing, I now believe that it's going to be at least a few games. And he's a repeat offender in season. He had the suspension for a couple of games for the incident with Matthew Tkachuk. So he's going to be suspended. I can almost guarantee that. Don Mitchell's watching. Good morning, Don. CBC has announced that they will be showing many U Sports Championship games on their GEM streaming service. Yes, they covered the football last year, the Mitchell Bowl on the online stream, and they covered the Vanier Cup across the whole platform.
Thank God for that. That was great.
Very good. So that's exciting. And Casey agrees with me. The fact that he waived the in-person meeting shows he's willing to take the punishment.
Yeah.
I like that. It might help him get a few less games, too. And with Connor McDavid already out a couple of weeks, that is going to make things a little bit more difficult.
Boy, he's so strong.
Yeah.
Those hands, like when he grabs a guy, I mean, it's incredible. He could be a good D lineman with those good hands.
Well, he could be. He really could be. So that's the big news this morning. The Calgary Flames winners last night. The Toronto Maple Leafs were not. So there you go. But
Jets play tonight?
The Jets are on the ice. We'll get to that. We'll do a sports update on the other side of the break, and we'll get into a whole lot more. Got a whole lot of topics. Haven't even got to today on the program, but we'll do that. And we've got Dave Campbell joining us from 6:30 CHED in Edmonton in our next segment as well. So we'll step aside and come back with that. This is The Rod Pedersen Show, watching on Facebook Live and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.